First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Dr. Kent Hall on the line right now. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I just want to know how I got the short end of the stick. I have to, sometimes even for you, I have you on every day. I got to, what is his position again? Oh, he's the chief physician executive at MVHS. Tom from New Hartford will whip that off right off the top of his head. How did I get the short end of the memory stick? What's going on?
Well, you've been educating people for so long that it's just kind of spilling out of your brain, and it's hard to get it back in.
I see. You're right. It's hard to get it back in. That's the problem. And what do you think of that Prevagen?
I wasn't listening, so I'm sorry. I can't.
Prevagen is the drug that gives you the memory.
Yeah, the memory drug.
Memory.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yes. So what do I think about it? I think that if you have early onset dementia, then it is definitely a help.
Yeah, do whatever you can. I would think so.
So, Dr. Hall, we had somebody wanted to ask a question, and this is an interesting point to bring up. The Yankees and Mets announced that if you're unvaccinated and you get vaccinated at one of their games, they'll give you tickets to a future game for free. For those who are vaccinated and don't disclose they've been vaccinated and get a vaccine at the game in an attempt to get free tickets, what happens if you get a vaccine, an additional vaccine, after you've already been vaccinated?
So as far as we know, there are no significant bad effects if you get an extra vaccine. But honestly, the science is out on that because it just hasn't happened, or it hasn't happened very much. So I can't say specifically that we definitely know, but I don't believe. I mean, looking at other vaccines, looking at tetanus and things like that, there are many people who get extra vaccines and they really don't have any significant untoward effects.
I got to tell you, it would be nice if we had that problem, but it's like we can't do anything without somebody trying to scam the system.
Well, that's the thing.
Now somebody's trying to get
there's got to be
shots.
people that will get an extra shot for free tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It's true. I will say that we've been looking at that on a smaller scale in this community. We, being Mohawk Valley Health System and our vaccine pod, has been looking at partnering with the Blue Sox or someone to do basically a similar thing. So I think the concept is a great idea. I mean, I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea, and potentially looking at partnering with the OD too. So we'll have to see if we can make that come to fruition.
All right, you ought to partner with us. We'll get people in here to get these shots. Let's go. We're not, and now there's incentive. Now this is what I really think we should be doing is saying you can if you come to our game and you're vaccinated, you get to treat it like it's 2019. You can sit over there. You can sit with other people. I mean, that to me is the reason that I realize we're all trying to save the world here with this vaccine, but at the same time, there's a little part of you that's selfish, saying, I'm going to be able to do A, B, and C if I get the vaccine. And finally, I think this move, will inspire people to get it.
And I'm telling you, throwing a free hot dog, watch those numbers go up.
Right.
Watch those numbers go up.
New Jersey's got it right, doing the free beer for a vaccine.
That's great.
Doc, you're being asked to be a third opinion here. Roman says, I've been vaccinated completely with Pfizer since the end of January. I had a COVID antibody test taken while other blood work was being done. It came back negative for antibodies. My physician wrote me a script to get re-immunized with Johnson & Johnson. But another doctor told me that antibody test used does not detect antibodies produced by the vaccine, and I'm probably fine. Whose advice do I follow?
Yeah, and are there different antibodies from the vaccine and the natural
Well, what
virus?
this person's saying is a lot of the tests won't, the antibodies.
And how accurate is the test? That's a doozy there, Doc. What are you going to say on that one?
So I'm gonna obfuscate just a little bit on this. So what I will say is that it is true that there are multiple antibody tests, and they have varying degrees of accuracy. So without knowing exactly which one was used, I can't specifically speak to whether it was one that really can give false negatives. That being said, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, there is no knowledge point at this point in time that getting an additional vaccine or getting vaccinated with a different a different vaccine will have an impact on your antibody level if you were vaccinated and you actually do accurately don't have or have a low antibody level.
Yeah.
So that's the. So basically, it's I would opt on the side of I'm not sure that there's any benefit to him getting a vaccine, whether it's an additional dose of the Pfizer or whether it's Johnson and Johnson. So I probably wouldn't bother with that. I think that we need to understand more about the science before we start to make those kind of recommendations.
Yeah, I think you said somebody brought up getting the antibody test. And I think you were the one that said, why?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And, and remember, I caveated it
and this is why
that as a physician, I always ask myself the question before I order a test on a patient, what am I going to do with this information?
Yeah.
And the answer, if you get an antibody test at this point in time, is, well, I'm going to know what my antibody level is, but I'm not going to really do anything. It's not going to change my behavior.
Right.
So that's why I would say I don't think it's necessarily worthwhile now. Now, as they develop, and there's work both with Pfizer and Moderna in terms of developing additional vaccines that would be boosters that have activity against that, better activity against the variants, then I would say yes, we may very well want to start to think about that.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if that does indeed need to be done, then we should be able to do that by fall.
Okay. All right. Doc, we appreciate it. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Please be safe.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a great day, Dr. Kent Hall.